Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the first day of June, and I want to come and tell you a little bit about my stitching and also my plans for the month. I have lots of wonderful plans. I hope you do too. Um, First of all, I want to share with you my stitching. I have been diligently working for the last 2 to 3 days on Kringles. I'll remind you of what it looks like if you haven't seen it in a while. But I had divided this up into sections so that I could finish it by the end of the year. And I am on track to do that. I'm very excited about that. And my assignment for the month of June was this middle room right here. And in order to make sure that I finish this by the end of the year and hopefully in time to frame it for Christmas, I have been going underneath each room and doing part of the sign as well. So I wanted to do that too. Well, that's a lot of stitching. That's almost full coverage. So I was working ahead on the sign, and that's what I've been doing. I've been stitching across on the sign, working ahead to try to get it done so that when June got here, it wouldn't be that hard to finish the room. So I actually started stitching inside the room yesterday a little bit. I didn't have a lot of time. We had errands to do. My husband and I had to redo our closet because I had a shelf in my closet fall. Well, it was leaning pretty hard, and I was afraid it was going to fall completely off the wall. And so we took everything down, and my husband has completely repaired the wall and rebuilt a whole new closet, different type of hanging system and everything. And yesterday was the day to measure the poles and cut them and put them in and install the brackets for the hanging poles. And it was just a lot of things that took two people to do. It was much easier for him to cut things if I was holding one end so that it didn't bind, just anyway, I was busy helping with home chores yesterday. So I did get a little stitching yesterday, but mostly I got up this morning and finished my June portion of Kringles already. And I did that on purpose because I have all these other things I want to do, but I don't want to fall behind. So here's where I'm at. And yes, I did go past the wall. That's okay. I had actually hoped to finish the whole thing and do the snowflake and be through with that whole row before I even had to do the room for July. But as I said, whenever I could, I stitched on it, and I didn't have a whole lot of time. But I certainly made it past the wall here, which is where I needed to get to be on schedule. And so that's where I got to. So that means in July, I'll do this room, finish this little part of the sign, carry this box the rest of the way over, and do that snowflake in order to stay on track. And then that would leave me the 3 bottom floors for August, September, and October. I'm loving this piece. I really, really love it. It is an easy stitch. It's fiddly. It has a lot of little things in it, a lot of color changes. I didn't even realize that there was a little man standing inside that clock. It's a cuckoo clock, I guess. And so there's the little man who's come out, and it's on the hour, so he's out there for the chimes, I guess. Isn't that cute? Just such detail, such detail. Oh, also, let me mention this to you because my good friend Lori, Once Upon a Stitch, if you're not watching her, go check her out. She had warned me that the inside of this clock, when she stitched it, it just overwhelmed the little bit of the clock face that's there, and she wound up pulling hers back out. So I didn't even try it. I just left it the way it was. I think there's enough stitching in that block as it is, and having it that pale background allows the clock face to actually be seen. I like it. I like it the way it is. So Lori, thank you again for that heads up. I really appreciate you sharing that with me. because it saved me. Saved me some time and probably some frustration as well. Okay, so let's talk plans. You guys know I love to plan. I love not only to plan, I love to bring the plan to conclusion. It's just from the way I had to work when I was working. I had multiple projects, multiple departments that I was over, and I just always had to plan very carefully, and I had to follow the plan in order for work to be done. And it just fits my personality, I guess, because I really embraced it, and so much so that it's kind of how I do everything. I make a plan and I break it down into steps, and then I just go. So it works for me. Not to say, I've heard several stitchers say that, if they get up in the morning and they don't feel like doing what the wheel had spun or whatever was on their calendar for the day to do that, they switch it up. I make a plan on how I'm going to meet the acrostics. I don't plan on when I'm going to do it. So I have absolute freedom every day that I get up and decide what I'm going to stitch. It's got a framework around it of these are the things I need to stitch. Okay, so then I just pick which one I want to do. Sometimes I try to do it the night before and get it all set up. But if I don't really know, I just wait till the next day. My plan is just a roadmap on how I'm going to get there. And if I do all those things, I get them all done. So I hope that helps. I know some of you have commented about you wish you could make a plan and stick to it. I think mine is I'm able to stick to it because there's enough wiggle room in it to let it be a little more spontaneous than you think. It's just, I know if I do all the things on this list, I will hit every prompt. And that I like that. That's sort of a safety net for me, if it were. So for the month of June, I decided I wanted to have a little focus. It's now just into summertime, and so flowers are blooming, and we just got through spring, and so I have what I consider spring summer projects, and I am not a seasonal stitcher. That's pretty evident because I stitch Christmas all year long, Kringles. But I have 7 ongoing Christmas whips, so I do stitch any season at any time. I'm working on fall items and Halloween items. I stitch so that I can get them ready for the season, but I don't have to stitch them in the season. But that's just me. So I decided, though, for the month of June, I would like to concentrate a little bit of effort to touch my spring summer whips, ones that I feel are springish or summery. And I mentioned this before, and I picked 4, and that's the Spring Quilt, Spring at Hawk Run Hollow, a sampler for all seasons, and Let Love Rain. I did Let Love Rain simply because it's floral, and it has all those beautiful flowers in it. It looks summery to me, and so that's why I picked it. So I kept this list of 4 whips next to me with my stack of cards. I make a little card for all of my new projects that has all the pertinent information on them. The fabric, the name of the whip, the name of the project, the designer, and the day I start it. And when I finish it, I put the date I finished it on it, and I file it away in a little card file for that year. So that's very helpful for many things. If I get a question, what kind of fabric are you using for this? I just go to the card and there it is. I don't have to go find it in the whip pile. I just go to my cards. And when I'm doing acrostics, I just pull out my cards and I have them on my desk here. And that way I can flip through them, and it helps me to try to remember all of my whips and put them on my acrostics so that I get to touch them every month. So it's just an easy process for me. So I did that this morning. I have 3 acrostics that I'm participating in every month. One is the magazine monthly challenge group, and the other 2 are 24 hours of cross stitch, and the daily 30 group. The daily 30 group is a closed group, but it is also the one that's the most strict, and they have guidelines on what you have to use in order to meet the letters. So, and they have a minimum requirement of 300 stitches. So I tend to be very cautious and careful when I fill that one out because I know I've got at least 300 stitches that I need to put in a project. So I'm either looking for something I really want to put work into, or I'm looking for something that I would really enjoy stitching for 300 stitches. Because the other two, it doesn't matter. You pick your own amount that you want to do, whether it's a small project, the goal that you have, set for yourself, or whether it's a small amount of stitches, like 100 or 200. I try, if I don't have a goal, if I don't have a certain thing I want to finish, like Halloween Quaker, for instance, I try to finish a motif. But if I don't have something that obvious, then I try to go for 200 stitches most of the time. If I get really short of time, I may do 100 stitches. But it's very fluid. You do what you want. Okay, so I sat down this morning and I figured up all of my whips for all 3 acrostics. I had a little listing of each of the acrostics and I just went and filled them in. I try whenever I can to use the same whip across the acrostics because they're in different Facebook groups and I can double dip that way. And that means I can participate in multiple things without it stressing me too much. So that's what I did this morning. In order to keep track of it and to see it easily, I'm used to working with spreadsheets, and so I create my own. It's just a handwritten one right now, but it helps me to pull it all together. So here's my spreadsheet for June. I've listed all of the acrostics down the side for the 3 that I'm working. I've identified what whip I'm using for all 3. I took that off my list, my working copies. Now, I don't have enough columns for all the whips. So I do the first one in one color of ink, and if I come back and do a second one above it, I use a different color of ink so that my check mark matches which whip. And that way I can use the column more than once. Sometimes I'll split it in half and do 1, 2 in each column. But I also do it this way when I don't have that many different whips. When I'm having to go all the way across, that's when I split it. Okay, so today what I did is I put a little check mark by each one underneath the name of the whip. And then on the bottom, you see little numbers. I counted up in each color of ink so that it was for each whip, how many prompts I would meet stitching that whip. And the reason I do that is I like to start with the ones that will hit the most. If I've got, and I do have here, I have 3 of my whips that will hit 3 prompts. They're going to be used in all 3 of my acrostics. I'll probably do those first because I get the biggest bang for the buck. Boom, boom, boom. I've hit all these acrostics. It's great. I make great progress. I only have 3 whips that meet 1 acrostic. The rest of those whips that you see here meet at least 2. So I think that's great. The 3 that are just singles are ones that are long time whips. One is Pandemic. One is Neige at Montaigne. And the other one is the Autumn Belle Pull. And those are 3 that I'm working on. I know they're long term. I know they'll take a while to finish. And so I make sure I touch them. I put them in at least once. But I don't necessarily use them for multiple whips because I want to make sure I'm touching everything. So they're in there one time simply because I wanted to put them in there at least one time. So that's how I've planned it. That's how I've organized it. I did have a real challenge with one of them in the Daily 30 group. I said they have some, they're a little more strict about what you can use. And so you have to use the first initial of the part of the title or the designer's name, the publishing company, or it can be the name of an object in the project, but it has to be like a common name of the object in the project. So you can't be quite as creative as you can be in some of the others. But I will tell you, there's a U in that acrostic. That acrostic is summertime, and the U was very hard for me. I didn't have anything going right now by Ursula Michael, which would be the obvious choice. And I didn't want to start something just to get one letter. However, in my casting a spell, the next little pillow that I'm stitching only has a few letters of the alphabet on it because it's finishing the pillow above it, which has most of the alphabet on it. So it's an unfinished alphabet. When you look at that piece by itself, it's an unfinished alphabet. It's just part of an alphabet. And that is an item on there. So I'm hoping and praying that they will accept that. But that is what I'm going to use for my U, an unfinished alphabet, because it is an object. So you can be as creative as you can. You just got to work within the guidelines. And the lovely thing about that is there's also a U in the monthly magazine challenge. That acrostic is manure. Their theme this month is farm. And so what do you have on a farm? You have a lot of animals, and they create a lot of manure. So as a tongue-in-cheek fun thing, Carolyn picked manure. My friend Donna said she can't wait to hear me say that, so I've said it 2 or 3 times for her. I hope you enjoyed it, Donna. That was for you. Anyway, there is a U there, and so I'm using that unfinished alphabet also for my monthly magazine challenge, which is great. I'm glad it worked out that way. Well, I've talked quite a bit this morning. I had a lot to share with you. I'm headed out now to go play canasta with my girlfriends and from church, and I'm looking forward to it. But I've got to go get my goodies ready to take. It's all about the food. These ladies love to eat while we play cards. And so I've got to grab mine and head on out. So I hope to get some stitching done again this evening. And I'm looking forward to starting the month of June with my spring-summer focus. And looking forward to stitching on a lot of my WIPs. Can't wait to share it with you. If you are doing something special in the month of June, like a focus, if you're doing one project monogamously, or if you're working on certain things in the month of June, please let me know. I'm always looking for ideas on focuses or how I can, shift around my stitching to make it interesting and keep me motivated. So I love it when you tell me what you're doing. I hope you will do that for me. In the meantime, happy stitching, everybody. Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Dina. This is my update on my cross stitching for today. It is Friday, June 2nd. Happy June, everybody. Yesterday I showed you that my really hard-working stitch ahead paid off when I finished my June portion of Kringles on the very first day of June. And that meant I could go into my June focus that I wanted to do, in addition to all my acrostics. So, today, in addition to talking with Lori from Once Upon a Stitch and my friend Donna, we came up with all of our acrostics for all that we were going to work on. Donna and I are doing 3, and Lori and I do 2 together. And so we were all comparing notes and helping each other come up with some creative ideas when we got stuck. It worked out really well, and I think everybody enjoyed doing it together. It was a lot of fun. So one of the things that I wanted to do, in addition to focusing on my spring pieces, was to work on prompts where I had one WIP that I'm using for more than one prompt. I do the highest number first. And so my first one that I picked up was a focus on my spring. It's spring at Hawk Run Hollow, and it also happened to hit 3 prompts. It was in all 3 acrostics. So here's my spring at Hawk Run Hollow, and I'm working on this square. My journey piece for my guild this year is to do these 2 squares. And it's already June and I don't have this one finished. So I am behind on my journey piece. I need to work on that. But I did make some progress today. I stitched a total of 408 stitches on my Hawk Run Hollow. And I've almost finished one of the 2 huge flowers in that piece. There's one more color at the top, and that will be done. Then I have another big flower here and a few little motifs similar to these that are spread throughout. And then there are some words in the middle that'll go pretty quickly. But I'm thinking another couple of sessions on this one, and I'll have that block finished. So since I'm focusing on my spring this week and next week and all this month actually, I'm hoping to pull this one back out and get some additional work on it. I would love it if I could finish this block this month. I may just make that a goal for myself. But anyway, that's what I'm working on. So the second prompt that I decided to work on today, and I did get to do 2 today. My husband took a very long run today, and my only responsibility was to walk the little one. So I did that early this morning, probably about 10:30. That's when she likes to go. And came back and I had leftovers for lunch. I didn't have to go anywhere. Been stitching all day. My son has texted me. He's on his way up from Lawrenceville, and we're planning on going out to eat when he gets here. And so this timing worked out perfectly because I just finished working on my second prompt of the day. And it's one of my focus pieces as well this month. I'm getting them up here front and center to make sure I get some work on them. But this is my spring quilt, and when I worked on it last, I did the outer portion of this corner. I had not done the inner portion yet. I had just done the corners all the way around on the outside. So I needed to get at least 300 stitches in it today, and I'm happy to report I got 406, and I finished that corner, and I even back stitched it. Now it's a hot mess. I'm just going to tell you it's a hot mess. I don't know how I got off in counting this border, but somehow I don't know whether I stitched the outer corner incorrectly, but it's off one. And so you can tell that the heart is very close on the sides at the top. It's closer by 1 stitch than at the bottom. Don't know why, but at least it's balanced. I did it on both sides. And everything's in there, but anyway, that's supposed to have a bigger border around it, and it just doesn't. So, but you know what? It looks like the quilting. It looks like it's been pieced, so I'm not going to worry about it. And when I look at it, I won't notice it because I see just all the beauty of this and all the colors. So look, there are 3 sections left, one of which is full coverage. I mean, it's huge. It's the one in the middle, this one. And then, of course, you've got this center and the other corner over here. So, we will see next time I pull it out. I hope to get to work on it some more this month. And I think I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet if I work on it this month and start this center. I won't finish it, but I could get it started because I keep avoiding it. I mean, I've come, you know, all the way around. I could do these 2 and leave it for last, but wouldn't that just make me avoid it all the more? So I think I'm going to tackle it the next time I pick it up. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that's my stitching for today. I don't know that I'll get any more stitching in today, but I will tell you with those 2 projects, let me double check. I know Spring Quilt is in 2 of them. It is. Spring Quilt is in 2 of my acrostics. So with Spring Quilt, I hit 2 more prompts. So that means 5 5 prompts today. Pretty good, don't you think? I'm excited. And I stitched 2 things. So when you can double dip between Facebook groups, it really does make it a lot easier. Oh, I have had such a good stitching day today. Thank you for letting me share that with you. I also got some Happy Mail yesterday, and I'm going to insert a picture that I got from my husband while I was playing canasta yesterday. I'm going to put it right here. And his message to me was, "You got a package." That is Coco standing up next to the package. It's pretty tall. I thought I knew what it might be, and I was right. I had a wonderful, wonderful friend who contacted me and said that she had some frames, some rods systems with sidebars of different kinds, and she wasn't going to be using them anymore. She wanted to know if I wanted them or if I wanted to use them for my door prizes at our stitching meetup, or if I wanted to use them myself. And there are a couple in there, a couple of styles that I've never tried before. So I want to try them. I want to see how I like them. And then there are a couple in there that I think would make really awesome door prizes at our stitching meetup. So I will enjoy them myself, and I will share the love as well. So I want to thank you very, very much. I didn't get permission to say your name, so I won't, but you know who you are. And I just appreciate you so very much for doing that. My husband was overwhelmed when I opened it. Well, I was too, and everything, they just kept coming. And I took a picture of it when I got it open, and I sent a text of it to my friend Donna, and her response was just OMG in capital letters. She couldn't get over it. She said, "What did you do?" She thought I'd been shopping. Anyway, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it when people send things, you know, for my enjoyment, or also for me to be able to share with my fellow stitchers at our stitching meetup. It's just awesome when I get to do that, and they love it when I get some new things for them. So I think that's it for today. My son is supposed to be coming up today so that we can finish working on his scrub caps. He is making them himself, and I'm trying to convince him to show them to you and tell you about them, and maybe even let me talk to him about what he's been doing since the last time he met with me and you guys. So I would love it if I could convince JT to talk with us. So I'm going to work on that. Cross your fingers. Oh, have a great rest of your evening. I hope that your month is getting off to a great start. Mine couldn't be any better. It just couldn't. Thrilled to death with the progress. I'm thrilled with my plans. And I am so stoked that I've already touched 2 of my spring focuses today. Hadn't planned it that way. It just worked out that way. So that's wonderful. Well, have a wonderful, wonderful week. If I don't get to film in the next couple of days because my son's here, I'm sure you'll understand. But I will try to capture my stitching as I go. And if nothing else, I'll catch you up on Monday. Happy stitching, everybody. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It is the 3rd of June, and I am here to tell you about my stitching update today. I looked at my prompts this morning, and I decided to stitch on another whip that was going to meet 3 prompts for me, and that is casting a spell. I was using it for all 3 acrostics, and my portions of this, I have already stitched these 4 and this pillow. I did that at my retreat, Stitching in the Wild. So today I wanted to finish this one. And you'll notice the alphabet starts up here and it ends right here. So it is an unfinished alphabet. It's finishing an unfinished alphabet. But if you just look at this piece together, that's not a whole alphabet. And that's important because I'm using this in my daily 30 group, and I'm having to use it for the name of something in the actual pattern. And so what I am hanging my hat on is that this is an unfinished alphabet. XYZ is not a whole alphabet. So this is the piece that I started today from scratch. I didn't have anything done on it yet. And in my daily 30 group, it was for the U, as I mentioned, for unfinished alphabet. In my magazine challenge, acrostic manure, it was also for an unfinished alphabet because it was another U. But in my 24 hours of cross stitch acrostic, it was for the C in happenstance, and that C was for casting a spell, which is the name of the pattern. So here's where I got to. I started and finished that section today, and so I am tickled to death to have that one done. And the next one that I will start on the next time I pick this up will be this one up here or this one here. So I've got these two pillows to stitch. And then I've got these two shaped narrow and long, and I'm saving those to do probably on a different piece of fabric. I'm hoping that I have enough left on this fabric right here to do the next two little pillows. But if I don't, I have a whole nother remnant of this fabric. This is a Be Stitch Me fabric, and it's called Peanut. I don't always remember to tell you that after I tell you in the beginning, so I'll try to do better about that. But this, as you could tell, is the remnant of a project that I just cut off the side of a long piece, and I've been using it, just rolling it up for these little tiny individual pillows. And now I have two more to do, and then the two long pieces, and I will have finished all of these. There's actually 10 separate pieces in this pattern, and I'm not counting it as a finish until I finish all 10. I'm considering this all one project. So haven't gotten any credit in my Stitch from Stash for any of these finishes yet. I'm gonna do them all one time. So there you go, that's been my stitching for today. I have had a wonderful morning. I went to the post office and mailed a package that I needed to mail out, and came back, and my son brought us lunch, and he had some errands to run this morning. And then this afternoon, I've been stitching, he's been gaming, and we were getting ready to play a wonderful board game that he brought with him to teach us how to play. But he had loaned it to some friends, and unfortunately, they didn't get all the pieces back into it. He was so disappointed. So I don't know what game we may play after dinner, but I think we're either going to play a board game of his choice, because we've got plenty here to choose from, or we may play canasta. Who knows? Anyway, I hope you have a great evening. I'm expecting to have a great evening as well, and I'm looking forward to it. So I hope to have some stitching time maybe tomorrow afternoon, and I can show you what I decide to work on. In the meantime, everybody, have a great weekend and happy stitching. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is June 5th, and I am here to give you an update on my stitching and wrap up this video so that I can get it edited and uploaded for you. I was actually working this morning on the video, and I thought, I'll get everything off my phone and uploaded into my iMovie on my computer, and then I'll videotape my last segment and close it out. And I started uploading all my videos, or airdropping them to my computer, and I started pulling them together and putting them together. And when I started on the very first one, there was no sound. No sound at all. The entire segment is silent. You can see my lips moving, but you can't hear anything. So I have an entire segment that's no good. And it's too bad because it was my first segment of the video and it was my final May Monday stitching that I had done, and it was my new start. So I'm going to redo that for you here, and then we'll go back to present day. So this is catching you up for the last Monday in May, and this was my new start, and it's called In the Meadow. It's from the Colorado Cross Stitcher, and I started it and finished it the same day. Now, I did one thing different, well, a couple of things, but the main thing I did different is I left the border off because I wanted to make mine in a little frame, and I didn't need the border. But you'll notice that there are buttons here. The pattern actually has a pattern for all the stitching in case you don't have the buttons, but I was gifted the button pack with the pattern. So I used buttons. And here's what mine looks like. I also brightened it up just a little bit by putting it on a blue fabric called Summer Skies. It's a 32 count Joblin by Wilchelt. And you can tell it was an old remnant, but it was plenty big enough for this piece. And I used 3 of the tree buttons, and then I used the little bird buttons. So I didn't stitch those. So that did make it a lot quicker to complete it. But since I didn't use all the buttons, they came on a card of 6. So I have 3 left. And I think this is such a cute piece. I'm going to pass it along. So if you are interested in stitching In the Meadow by Colorado Cross Stitcher, and you want the button pack to go with it, and I'll even throw in another piece of Summer Sky fabric if you want to use that. If you don't, save it for something else. But if you're interested in this little pattern, I'm going to put it in a little plastic bag. Just put Meadow in your comment. Meadow, M-E-A-D-O-W, and that's what I will search on, so that I can pass that along, and then you'll have it in plenty of time to either stitch it in a Jolly July or, you know, wait till the end of the year and stitch it. But that was my final May Monday start. And so to wrap that up, I had 5 Mondays in May. I had, as it turned out, only one piece that was left over from the year before, because I wound up finishing the second one that I thought I was going to get to stitch on before I even got to the May Monday. And I finished all the other pieces. So depending on whether I finish the one that I have left, next year it could be all new. All new. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, so that replaces the information that I shared with you, or tried to share with you, that didn't get recorded. And so there you have my last May Monday start. Now I'll put that in a little frame and I'll be all set with that. So yesterday I came up here on Sunday afternoon and thought, what do I want to do today? JD was here most of the morning. We wound up chatting a bit, discussing his hats. He said he hit a snag in putting buttonholes in them, and so I'm going to help him with that part, and then he'll come back and finish them next weekend. So he has agreed. I hope he'll stick with it because he's so shy, but he has agreed that he might be willing to show them to you. So keep your fingers crossed. Maybe in the next video we might have a guest. I hope so, and if not, I'm sorry. I started not to say anything because he tends to get really shy when I put the camera on, so we'll see. But I decided yesterday afternoon that I wanted to go ahead and attack one of my Whip Go pulls, because I waited till the very end of the month almost before I worked on Whip Go very much last month, and I realized at the end of the month that I might In fact, I wound up not finishing one of my goals. I've got 3 of the 5 hours on a piece on my haunted mansion. And so I decided this time I didn't want to wait that long to get that done. And so one of my Whip Go calls, which was on my holiday board, was turkey time. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that one. So here's what turkey time looks like. This is the one that's turkey time. This has 2 patterns on it. I'm going to do this one. And I had just recently, just like the week before, gotten my Be Stitch Me Fabric of the Month. And it is called Bronze Age. It's a 32 count Lugana. So I cut a little piece of this off that I needed because I just thought turkey time would look really good on it. And I think it does. So this is where I got to with my new start. This is 564 stitches, and that is at least 5 hours. I average a little over 100 stitches an hour, so there you go. So my needle's still in there. I stopped last night. My husband called up here from downstairs. I came to the bottom of the stairs and called up and asked if I wanted to watch a special with him, a documentary, and I said yes. And so I went down to do that, and I had stopped at 564 stitches. So I have met my Whip Go goal on my new start for turkey time, and I will probably finish off that thread and put it away this morning. And I've colored in the block here. So on both of my Whip Go boards, I have that same number 4 blued out. It's done. And I have left on both boards number 16. On the holiday board, that's small gift. And on my Whip Go board that's just generic or general, it is a new start called Sew Together. It will be my 4th one in that series that I'm doing. I'm going to do 6 of that series, and it'll be number 4. And I'm stitching it with sulky thread, so that'll be a fun start, but I'll save that for a little bit, and I'll work on that in a little, few days. So I have another Whip Go goal met. That's 2 of the 4, and that makes me feel happy. So I'm going to wrap this up. I haven't even begun stitching for today yet, but my husband and I are going to brunch. And then when I get home and get settled in, I'll decide what I'm going to stitch on, and I'll share it with you. So I hope you've had a great week. I hope you continue to have a good week of stitching, and I hope that all that you work on goes smoothly and that the frog is far, far away from you. I was on a Zoom call yesterday, and someone had a frog, and I got tickled because one of the ladies on the Zoom said, "Oh, good, I'm glad he's out of here," because apparently she had the frog earlier before I joined the group. Anyway, have a great week of happy stitching. So Coco went to the groomers yesterday, and she has a new haircut. And now that I have the camera on her, she's going to pretend to be shy. I'll try to catch her later when she doesn't know I'm looking at her. But we had her cut real short for the summer. We had him trim her beard a little bit because it had gotten too bushy and too long. But I think she looks really cute. Hey, Coco. Hey, baby. What you doing, baby? This is Coco, standing here next to me, holding onto my arm. What is it, sweetie? What you need? What do you need? Huh? What you want? She just wants my attention. Okay. Here, hop down. Come here. got to hold on to her mama. She wants mama to love on her. Hey, beautiful. You like her new haircut? Yeah. She got her little beard trimmed. You look so pretty. You look so pretty. So, say hey to Coco. Can you say hey to everybody? Huh? Can you say hey to everybody? Can you see those long eyelashes? Oh my goodness. I'm getting kisses. Oh, thank you, baby. You can hear my floss tube in the background. Oh, here we go. Look.